Hello, everyone. Sarah here with Rewrite Your Life. Today, we're going to talk about the different characteristics of those who grew up with childhood emotional neglect, or what's otherwise known as CEN. And this is a really common experience. It's otherwise known as those invisible wounds. And I work with people to get to the very core and the very root of those, to discover the internal unconscious beliefs they have about themselves because of these past experiences. And so many of the clients that come to me have come to me because they're now adults and they've done a lot of self-development and self-help work, personal development work, because they realize that they've gotten to a place where their life is good, but it's not great. They know that there's more. They know there's more growth. They know there's more expansion. They know there's more potential within them, whether or not they're in a relationship. And they understand that it has to do with the relationship that they have with themselves, the relationship with their creator, with God, that they're just kind of like, blah, it's not that I don't have faith. It's maybe my faith is lacking or my faith is weak. And it's not really those things. They've tried everything else. They've tried the prayer, they tried the meditation, they've tried the affirmation, they've tried all the conscious self-help books, mantras, affirmations, programs, whatever it is. But there's something still internally that needs to be transformed and transpired, that needs to be shifted within. And they understand that it is within their belief system, that there's something there and they can't quite put their finger on it and what it is. They've worked a lot through it already on their own or with other counselors or therapists, or just, through the work they've done themselves, but they're still feeling this. I actually just completed a catch-up call with one of my clients. We completed our time working together. And he just said to me, Sarah, things are just so great now. They're just so different now. Everything is so good. All the stuff that was there before that I originally and initially came to you for is gone. And he had a great life. He's got a wife, he's been married for couple decades now. Things are really, really good on the surface. And so things should feel good. Things should be good. You should believe that they're good, and not just that they're good, but they're going to continue to be good and expect good and understood the way things work, right? That, what we think about, what we focus on is what tends to be realized. But there was something internally that was a lie. And it was that he didn't have the ability or the confidence in himself to really see those things through, or to trust that good things were going to continue to come, and would start to notice he would slip and slide back into that kind of self-doubt, self-defeat, the lack of confidence, the thinking, is it, I don't think it's going to go away. I know it's not going to go away, but I don't feel that way. And so he was getting to this place where his feelings were running his life and directing his life and navigating his life and dictating his life in the way that things were going. But we know that our feelings are fleeting. So if our life is based on our feelings and they're always fleeting, we feel like we're always fleeting, like things are always slipping out of the palm of our hands, that things are good, but they're not going to stay good. And so through our work together, he realized and discovered that no, that is not the truth, that he can decree and declare today that things are good and they get to continue to be better. And it's just now. Now is the time. Now is the moment. And understood these principles and these foundations and these concepts before, but they were like seeds being scattered on hard soil. They were not taking root. They were not being fertilized. They were not given the ability to really grow and become what they were intended and destined to grow into and to become. And those are the seeds of confidence, the seeds of trust, the seeds of faith, the seeds of knowing that you have the ability, the confidence, and the magnitude within you to make a way to have this thing, and to just really put your faith and trust and hope in God, that know that he is directing, he has made a way, and have all of these things come together for you today, not tomorrow, and without delay. And when you've experienced childhood emotional neglect, in his case, I've experienced this myself. We all have. I don't think there's a person on this planet. Someone commented the other day, well, when your ACE score, your or your, what is it, childhood adverse experience score, uh, is whatever range, then this is the way. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be that way, right? Because that is the thing that impacts your internal unconscious beliefs. When those are shifted and you begin to believe in yourself, have faith in yourself, have hope in yourself, have trust in yourself, and know, really, really, really know not just within your soul, but within your spirit, that God has given you a sound heart, a sound mind, that all those things that are meant to be yours get to be yours. And it's not a workspace thing, it's a belief-based thing. And when you alter, you transform, and you shift your internal belief system, you get into agreement with what God says, and you get into agreement with living an incredible life, an abundant life, an amazing life, the life that you were destined, created, and designed to have and to live. But if you're still living with beliefs that you have from adverse childhood experience, like these of neglect that we're going to get into in just a moment, then it just seems like you're trying to plant some seeds to get a thing, to get to the point where life is abundant and you get into harvest season, but things aren't growing, or they're growing really slowly. And you're like, okay, what is going on? I'm doing everything right, but I'm not seeing the ripe, I'm not seeing the ripe fruit. So it really is getting these to become truths, getting the things that we're going to go into to become lies, and just a knowing, understanding, believing that these are lies, they're not truths about you, and really getting to the core truths about you and living in alignment with those, that changes everything about you. But like his experience and mine, good childhood, normal childhood. One parent was, very uplifting, motivating, encouraging, very loving. And maybe the other one was just simply emotionally distant, emotionally not there, kind of checked out, kind of selfish. Maybe you wouldn't title or deem or claim them as narcissistic, but they just had some very self centered tendencies. They had a tendency to make things bigger than they were. And so you were just kind of there. You just got through childhood the way that you got through it. Nothing crazy, nothing extreme really happened, or maybe something crazy and extreme did happen. And then naturally, of course, you would experience emotional neglect, and that's that invisible wound. It's not so much the things that did happen to you, but oftentimes the things that didn't happen to you. You weren't loved, you weren't told that you were proud of, or maybe you were by one parent, but not by both. And so you were wondering, your mind was left with these internal conflicting beliefs of which is it? Is it that you're proud of me and that I'm worthy and deserving of being proud of? Or is it what this parent says? And actually not, because look at this. And so you always look at the negative, you're pointed to the negative, you're directed to the negative, even in the presence of so much good and positive. Your mind naturally shifts and focus on and sees the negative and discounts all the positive, all the good, all the wonderful things that you have as evidence to see that life gets to be good and wonderful. Your mind goes, yeah, but, and you're tired of living this yeah but life. It's exhausting inside. And so you're physically exhausted, even though you haven't worked out and you haven't like ran a marathon, you don't understand it. You just want to shout, oh, I just want a nap. And it just constantly feels like that. And it feels like that life should be a different way and it shouldn't be this way. But your experience is that it is. And you're ready to say goodbye to this. You're ready to say, now is the day where I get to live a different way. And you've tried to on your own. You've tried to choose that on your own, but there's something internally, you feel this internal pull to go another direction, and you're not sure why, but you're sure it's not the direction that you want to continue to go. And maybe this is something you've lived with for a really long time, and you're ready to say today is the day that it's got to go. So what are these 10 characteristics of signs that you grew up with childhood emotional neglect? Well, we're going to go over those. One of them is internal feelings of emptiness. And you have a lot of goodness in your life, like we just talked about. But there's just something about feeling empty inside. There's evidence all around you that supports that you shouldn't feel like this, yet you feel like this. You feel empty inside, you feel depleted, you feel exhausted, you feel drained, and you just feel empty. And so you turn to things to try to fill that emptiness, the feeling of that emptiness you try to fill with external things. And oftentimes this is where we turn to food, relationships, other substances, alcohol, whatever substances we turn to try and numb or run from that internal feeling of emptiness. Maybe it's just busyness. Maybe you pour yourself into work. A lot of people that I work with as well do that too. They just pour themselves into work and they think, I will get my satisfaction, the connection, the fulfillment of my life will come from what I can do and what I can produce. And work is an avenue for that. When you work more, you get more money, you get more stuff, you get more things, you have more things, whatever. And then you realize even with all those things, you still have that feeling inside. And that is the thing that you despise. That is the thing that people come to me to say, I'm ready to transform this today and completely get rid of this today. In his words, he said, I want it gone. I wanted it gone years ago. And I've tried, but today is the day. I want this gone. And I know that this is the way. I know it's a belief system thing. And I'm ready to remove the belief that says that it has to be that way or that my mind naturally goes that way. And I'm ready to naturally see and experience all the good things that I have in my life and feel good inside, not feel empty inside anymore. So that is why he specifically came to me. The next sign is counterdependent. So instead of hyper independence or not inter independence or encounter dependence, is I don't need anyone, where you become independent, but in the way that it's like defiantly independent. Just I don't need anything. You try and just take on everything yourself, even if someone steps in to try to help. Yes, there's some independence, but there's almost a defiance to it. Like, oh, you think I can't do it on my own. So a counter dependence tendency that you have when you approach different things that you just know, again, is emotionally exhausting and draining inside. And you know it's not the way, yet you can't seem to bring yourself to ease in doing it any other way because this is what you've known. And this is a protective mechanism that's been built in from your past experiences. And you're ready to build in allowing in, receiving help, receiving connection, receiving support, and really being grateful for that and allowing that to fill you. The things that you give, you can also receive, and allowing that ease and flow in your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, and your life. Another sign of childhood emotional neglect is lack of self-knowledge. But you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you had lack of self-knowledge, because you're very aware of this and you're aware that you're ready to transform it, transcend it, and to completely change it. So there, it in the beginning can be lack of self-knowledge, and you lack boundaries, you lack the ability to confidently say no, to speak up, to stand up for yourself and for your wants and for your needs, and to use your voice to express those things. But if you're watching this video, you probably got to the point where you no longer lack self-knowledge or self-awareness. You become aware of this and you're aware that you're ready to transform this. But that is one of the early signs of it. Poor compassion for yourself. You have compassion for everyone else. You feel bad for them. You want to connect with them, to reach out, to help them, to support them, to guide them. You want to be there for them, but you don't treat yourself the same way, and you don't allow yourself to be treated in the same way. So the poor compassion for self is a big sign of childhood emotional neglect, and something that may still be impacting you today. Others are trying to give to you, but you have an inability to receive that compassion. And so you feel this disconnection. You feel bad. You feel guilty. You feel like I know something. I think something is wrong with me. It feels like something's wrong with me because I have loving people in my life who are trying to support me. Yet I'm like, uh, ugh. And therefore it causes tension. It causes frustration. It causes resistance in the relationship. And you're ready to be free from that. Another sign of it is tendency toward guilt and shame. You feel bad that you do a certain thing or in a certain way, but you don't really know how to stop it. You don't really know how to not be that, not move towards guilt and shame. And shame is an identity thing. Shame is, an internal statement of who you are and not just what you've done. Guilt is feeling bad for what you've done. Shame is, I am bad for what I've done. It's more of an identity thing. And you notice an internal tendency to drift and slide towards those things, always towards guilt, always towards shame. You do feel bad. You feel guilty for hurting someone else's feelings. You feel guilty for standing up for yourself. You feel bad for saying no. And really what's underlying that is the identity presence that you are a bad person. Therefore you do bad things to people, and you shouldn't do that. And so it has a tendency for you to overgive or over deliver or overcompensate and completely burn yourself out, get yourself to that point of exhaustion and just complete defeatedness, like, "Ugh, I don't know why I do this." And so you hear your mind saying that a lot. I don't know why I do this. I don't like that I'm like this. Yet you do it and yet you're like it. And you're ready to completely shift that because you know when there's an internal shift and switch, you can be who you're meant to be. You can be who you were destined to be, created to be, designed to be. You can live free, and you can live free and easily with healthy boundaries and with healthy relationships because healthy boundaries are present in healthy relationships. Um, this leads to the next one: self directed anger and self blame. You have the compassion. This ties into the other one. You have the compassion when it comes to other people. You really wouldn't blame them or be as harsh or as critical to them as you are to yourself, but you direct the anger away from them and towards yourself. You always find a reason why it's your fault. And if you only wouldn't have done this or you only wouldn't have done that, and you blame yourself for it. Gosh, what's wrong with you? How could you be so stupid? What were you thinking? Those are the common thoughts and threads that go through your head. And those are presence of childhood emotional neglect. Your needs weren't met in the way that they should have been met. And so therefore you take it out on yourself internally. You're harsh, critical, and judgmental to yourself. The anger that you have is directed towards yourself. You constantly think, "Ugh, gosh, what's wrong with me? I can't believe this about me. I wish I could change this about me." But it seems to be a thing that you can't break and you can't change on your own, regardless of your intention, your drive, your motivation to. There's something internally within the subconscious belief system that needs to switch and change in order for it to be that way, where you don't always direct the anger at yourself or blame yourself for everything, for big things, for little things, for everything in between. You're always taking the blame. You're always angry at yourself. And that impacts how you go to sleep. It impacts what you envision when you go to sleep. It carries the negativity from one day into the next day, into the next day, and to the next day. And then before you know it, it's weeks, it's months, it's years have gone by where you just look back and go, God, I could just cry. Like, where has time gone? I feel like I've lost a sense of time. And that's not how you want to live anymore inside. And that leads to the other way that you live inside is feeling a deep sense of being flawed or different from everyone else. When you look at everyone else, I mean, no one's life is perfect, but when you look at other people's lives, it perceives that they're perfect. And you are criticizing yourself on the way that your life is different from everyone else's. You see the positive and the goodness in their life, but when it comes to looking at the picture of your life and the reality of your life, you have this deep sense of being flawed. Something is broken, something is wrong with you, and it's not something that you could fix easily or that you even know how to fix or where you'd even begin to start fixing it. It begins in the internal subconscious belief system. Once that is transformed and completely changed, everything else follows in the same way. Then you see there actually is nothing wrong with me. I'm actually not broken. I am who I am, and I love who I am. I'm confident in who I am, and I trust in my abilities, and I go for the things that I want to do, and I go for them with gusto. I go for them, and I say, you know what? Other people may laugh and say you're cray cray, but I'm doing the thing, and I'm doing it with confidence. I'm doing it with ease. I'm doing it without begging and saying, please, will you accept me? Will you like me if I do this thing? You simply do it because it's what you're called to do, directed to do, guided to do, and inspired to do. And so, in with the internal transformational work that we do together, you're no longer living with that feeling of that you're deeply flawed or that something is wrong with you. You have confidence, conviction, and faith, and hope, and trust, and belief in yourself and who God knows you are and who God created you to be. And so you no longer feel this struggle. You know, self-care becomes a self-care thing. Self-care doesn't become a struggle thing. It's not that you eat your emotions away or you drink and numb your emotions away. It's not that you try to run away. It's that you put yourself in the right place and you put first things first, and you no longer question or struggle with the things that you know you should do. They just become things that you do, right? To care for yourself, to respect yourself, to honor yourself. You no longer struggle with that when the internal beliefs are in alignment with God's beliefs about you and what He declares and decrees over you. And when these experiences from childhood emotional neglect are no longer impacting, affecting, or influencing you. And that is what I love to work with people to do. The last one that we're going to go over today before we end and wrap this up is difficulties identifying, naming, and understanding how emotions work in one's self and others. It might be a little bit easier to identify and understand how emotions work with others, but there might be things that they're just activated by or triggered by, and you just don't understand. Like, what is wrong? I don't get it. Why are you acting this way? It was just this thing, and you don't understand the relational proportion between their emotions or feelings and the way they're expressing them, and the connection to the experience. And so you think, what's the big deal? When you're engaging with other people who are expressing particular certain emotions. So, how emotions work, the way that other people need to process them or go through them or allow them to be processed or navigated through doesn't make sense to you. And so it feels like there's a separation and a distance to relationships with other people when it comes to the expression of their emotions and feelings. And the same is true for you. You don't quite get it. You can't quite identify it. It becomes difficult to even name. How are you feeling today? Mm, it's whatever, just another day. And instead of allowing yourself to feel the emotion, to process the emotion, to allow it to move through you, it gets stuck in you. And it gets stuck as this apathy and this, mm, like whateverness and this kind of just going through lifeness. And you're ready to feel what you want to feel. You're ready to process everything that you haven't felt because you weren't allowed to feel the things, or you didn't have support in feeling the things and understanding the things and dissecting the things and directing them in a healthy, positive way, or through a healthy, positive outlet, because there was complete neglect or lack there in the past. And now you're ready to no longer neglect your feelings, no longer brush aside or push aside your feelings. You're ready to fully feel your feelings and to be the person that you fully came here to be, that you were fully designed to be, created to be, intended to be, and get on the path to that today. And not necessarily that you need to go deep dive into the emotional work. You can if you want to, but you just understand that you're no longer living with an internal belief system that says you're broken or something is wrong with you or you're bad. That you're no longer wearing that identity that says, hello, my name is, and then all of the negative things that you could put in the place of that. You're ready to say, hello, my name is, and then state your name. And this is who I am. I'm confident, I'm motivated, I'm driven, I've got what it takes. I make a way, I believe in myself, I have faith, I know I will get through this thing. I don't expect life to be perfect. I understand there will be hurdles, but they're not going to stop me and they're not going to block me. And when your internal subconscious belief system is in alignment with this, you get to live in alignment with this. It gets to be that things get to be good. It gets to be that things get to set you free, that you get to look forward to celebrating everything and seeing everything as an opportunity to grow, to develop, to expand, and step into who you were created to be and be set free. So I would love to work with you and connect with you if you're ready to take a deep dive into your subconscious mind and remove the belief systems that you have because of past experiences like that, where you grew up, where you had relationships where there was a lack of emotional support and comfort, and instead there was emotional neglect. It is time to change all that. So when you're ready to do just that, let's connect. You can find links in the description below this video. Until then, that is all for today. Bye for now.